Thank you very much, Program Director. And thank you to Ntate Monage for that introduction. Ntate Taban, you were talking about one of my staff members here that is a brilliant fellow. It is true, and there are actually a few of them. I brought a few of them in the presidency, but they create problems for me. When we were in Cape Town, one of the fight we had with them was when I had to answer questions in the National Assembly. So I said to them, guys, can you look at these questions so we can start deciding how we're going to answer? So they said, no, fine, DP will do that. And then they sent me a big file. So I said to them, Chilis, the question is one paragraph, but the answer is 5 pages. They say no, but they convinced me. They say, you see, DP, don't focus on these people. They ask you questions, talk to the nation. These issues are very important to the nation. So I try to say, look, cut down a bit. But anyway, they convinced me that that's the way to go. Now today, my wife and I were stuck in Rustenburg because of them. So I said to them, guys, before I was inaugurated or sworn in as DP of the Republic, I had accepted to address the BBQ Awards because, they've become my friends. I've done that before. So I like coming here to these awards. And they said, no, but you have to go and address the World TB Day in Rustenburg. So I said, Rustenburg? They say, yes. So I said, no, but I have this activity in the evening. They said, no, you'll be back. You'll be back because you're actually speaking at 11:20. This function will be done. In fact, by 2:30, they say you can depart. By 2:30, I had not spoken. And all of them were not there. They were here. I'm there stuck. But I agree that they are a bunch of very brilliant young people. I think there's a lot we're going to do in the presidency with them. The last thing, well, they didn't do very bad now because the speech is not too long. Often when we give speeches, sometimes we take 2 hours. Now I said to them, here it's about the awards. So the speech must be short. So I said to my wife earlier as we were coming, I said to her, you know what? My speech won't be more than an hour. She said, more than an hour? I said, yeah, no, not more than an hour. I didn't want to say how long it will be, but I think it won't be more than an hour. Program Director, thank you very much once more to be here. I want to recognize in our midst Deputy Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Comrade Park Stau, President of Black Business Council, Mr. Elias Monache, who just introduced me. I'm told that the Secretary General of the ANC is not here, Comrade Figile Mbalula. We recognize him in absentia. He might join us. I think when introductions were done earlier, those who spoke earlier missed to recognize the Treasurer General of the ANC, Dr. Gwen Ramukopa. She's also here. I actually spoke to her when I came in. So when I was the Treasurer General of the ANC, I was also given responsibility to take care of the Secretary General's office, the Deputy Secretary General's office, and the Secretary General's office. So people used to call me Holy Trinity. I don't know why, but they said I'm Holy Trinity, JJ. But we worked very well with my team. I know that Comrade Gwede Mantash will always tease me. So, because we're top 6 officials, before we're top 7, we're top 6. So, Comrade Gwede, when we are 3 in the meeting, says, no, Comrade Paul, we have a quorum. So I said, no, we don't have a quorum. It's me and you. The president is not here, and so and so. He says, no, we count you 3 times. So we have a quorum. But those were good days. I'm happy now. We have a very good team of top 7. And we are steering the boat very well. Let me also recognize Deputy Chair of Presidential Climate Commission, Mr. Desika Naidu, Chairperson and board members of the Chemical Industry Education and Training Authority, CHETA, Chairperson boards of various business and state-owned institutions, Black Business Council and federations, President and board members of Black Management Forum, business owners and event organizers, Managing Director of Cape Media Corporation. I've already spoke about Professor J.J. Tabani, editor and lead of Leadership and BBQ magazine, who's present here, and his beautiful wife, members of the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, let me once again confirm with Professor Tabani that indeed that interview I've been running away from will now be done. You know, there's something about me and JJ. I tried to run away from him. The next thing I'm sitting next to him. So now we've agreed that that interview will be done just week after next. Program Director, we are grateful for the opportunity to participate in this auspicious gathering of Black business excellence and the celebration of South Africa's business leaders in transformation, which for the past 19 years has advocated for the promotion of good corporate governance and sustainable economic leadership. Your contribution to the growth of our economy through the support of micro businesses located at informal settlement and rural areas, which are primarily owned by Black Africans, is highly commendable. Moreover, we appreciate your effort at BBQ magazine for keeping transformation discourse on the national agenda through recognizing pioneers in this important mission of economic transformation. The 2023 BBQ Awards take place at the most critical time in the history of our economic transition and transformation of our country. We have just emerged from the devastating grip of the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite the fact that our nation was affected by this same global pandemic, its repercussions have disproportionately damaged the livelihoods and well-being of those most at risk within our society, who are the Black majority, who already had been struggling economically even before the pandemic. On the upside, though, the epidemic has demonstrated the importance of the small business sector in terms of income generation and economic upscaling across the vast majority of our nation. As government, we remain committed to supporting the Black-owned business sector in their efforts to rebuild their businesses after the economic downturn. We have begun to have important conversations about how people in the informal economy can get the most out of what our economy has to offer. Moreover, the devastating and disruptive effects of load shedding on the economy and the small business sector in particular remain a major concern for all of us. Load shedding has cut business hours and production capacity, with a consequent result of reduced income. Businesses have also had to spend large amounts towards finding alternative energy sources to keep their operations viable. Consequently, this has resulted in significant losses in jobs between the years 2019 and 2021, both in the formal and informal sectors. Nevertheless, the South African economy grew slightly for the second year in a row, expanding by at least 2% between the years 2021 and 2022, which represented an increase of 4.5 trillion rands to 4.6 trillion rands. Nevertheless, as government, we remain fully cognizant of the negative impact of load shedding on the country's economy and the inconvenience and hardships it causes to the country and in particular to businesses. You will recall that just over a month ago, at the State of the Nation address, President Cyril Ramaphosa identified obstacles and highlighted interventions to unlock our nation's potential, including lowering and eventually ending load shedding to promote investment that is vital for economic growth and job creation. As you are aware, the Minister of Electricity has now been appointed and is currently hard at work. I see. So a few days ago, I think he was in Mpumalanga, checking some of the power stations. He will soon outline his steps to bolster what we call the Integrated Energy Plan, which seeks to address this devastating energy crisis. We are encouraged by the fact that the Minister of Electricity has been engaging various stakeholders, including yourselves. If he hasn't, I'm sure he's coming. Because the long-lasting solution to the energy crisis will arise out of collaborative efforts amongst all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, The increase in the number of unemployed South Africans, particularly amongst the youth, necessitate more immediate steps to assist us in fundamentally altering our economic growth trajectory. As the sixth administration of government draws to a close, we must be truthful with ourselves. We must have an open and inclusive conversation about rebuilding that which will result in increased economic activity. We must acknowledge that there is a greater and more pressing need to support aggressive means and forms of economic integration for Black-owned firms, particularly in the historically untransformed sectors of the economy. Furthermore, in order to give various economic issues urgency, including the evaluation of how we may reinforce policies that are focused on economic emancipation, it is necessary to look at the agenda of the governing party. We must pay close attention to how government at all levels can create a supportive policy and regulatory environment that in turn supports the informal economy. We need to improve the state's overall capacity to expedite the processing of applications and approvals in order to integrate the commercial and economic operations of unorganized players in the informal economy into the mainstream sector. As such, it cannot be business as usual. When businesses, especially Black-owned enterprises, continue to experience the harshest types of hardship and depression as a result of a system that is unresponsive to their needs, it cannot be business as usual. What we need to do, amongst others, this will include the need to resolve the ongoing challenges of government non-payment and settlement of invoices to small businesses within a regulated time frame. Now, this has been an old problem, and I don't understand why it's still there. We need to get rid of it. When I was in Gauteng as MEC for Finance, we came with regulations that dealt away with this. I do hope it's still there. Where we decided at the time that all businesses, big or small, should be paid within 30 days. And then at some point, I can't remember who it was, but one of my premiers said to me, MEC, why not 7 days? So I said, well, I think it can be done. So government must strive to ensure that those who do business with us as government must be paid on time. Because if we don't, we bankrupt them. We do. It's worse with small businesses. Because remember, you go out, you source goods and services, you supply, and then you don't get paid. So this is something that we are definitely going to fix to ensure that businesses are paid on time. As government, we are committed to implementing consequence management for departments and state agencies that fail to implement these requirements. We recognize that late payment after services have been rendered has, as I said, significant repercussion for your business and your business's finances. I know that National Treasury requires, already I think this has been going on for a while now, that critical service providers should be paid timeously. I think they started with 30 days, but we can cut it down. Program Director, for us to be successful in guaranteeing a prosperous and sustainable informal sector, we must remember that our strength is our unity of purpose. We will be able to harness this sector and make it work through collaborating across government, with social partners, and with the business world. We are also committed to creating more sustainable jobs, particularly for the youth. During 2021-22 financial year, the National Youth Development Agency grant program provided more than 2,000 youth-owned enterprises in rural areas and township economies with grants to fund, to launch their firms. We need to do more of these types of interventions. Moreover, supported by the National Youth Development Agency funding program, the Youth Micro Business Relief Fund, youth-owned firms have created and maintained employment of 8,000 employees in the economy. Yet we know that these are by no means sufficient. We need to grow these efforts further by scaling up on investment to build skills. On our side, as government, we need to sharpen our role in coordinating, facilitating, as well as unlocking opportunities for people who wish to expand their local businesses, which has enrolled, we believe that in the midst of our current discourse on the country's economic trajectory, there is room for growth, development, and hope. Another milestone from our ongoing economic reconstruction and recovery effort is the Presidential Employment Stimulus Program, which has enrolled 1 million people since its inception in 2020. As part of the largest stimulus-funded project, about 600,000 young people were hired to help teachers in more than 22,000 schools. As we work to increase economic development and generate more permanent jobs for a much bigger population, we will expand on the positive effects of this program. Program Director, while we have noted progress, for instance, in government efforts to restructure the economy through the broad-based economic empowerment policy, legislative framework, and other interventions, we believe that more still needs to be done. Notably, there's also been recent incidents of regression and resistance towards BBBEE, with some organizations even successfully challenging the policy in court, as such leading to unacceptable levels of uncertainty. Let me say, ladies and gentlemen, that we as the current government are not going to give up to strengthen BBBEE. We are determined to ensure that we proceed to support Black businesses. So regardless of the challenges we've faced since the BBBEE Act was passed 20 years ago, our government remains steadfast in its aims to bolster and expand economic empowerment and inclusion in all sectors. We still affirm that this is a correct policy to pursue. However, we will be doing ourselves a disservice if we do not do a critical assessment of its impact on the economic transformation agenda as a whole, part of doing so requires us to answer the following questions in line with elements of this policy. What effect, if any, has the policy had on the rate at which formerly marginalized people and groups acquired economic ownership? In this regard, we need to indicate what obstacles are preventing us from achieving this objective and what we plan to do to eliminate them. Because there are those who are saying there are obstacles, but we need to understand what are they and what must we do to eliminate them, because we must succeed. How has BBBEE affected the management of businesses? Or are boards and other control structures still in the hands of a minority? I heard some people say many businesses, real businesses in this country, are still owned by white people. So we need to address that reality to be able to say, how do we ensure that black businesses play an important role in the mainstream of the economy, so that they too can make a meaningful contribution to the challenges of employment and ensure that in this country there is employment equity across the board. Program Director, in 2022, the Department of Labor produced a report showing that up to 70% of all new appointments and promotions still favor white persons, despite employment equity policies. This apparent resistance to change necessitates a new strategy from government in order to realize the aims of the BBBEE legislation. I have already asked my team to look into this, because I think it's important that we deal decisively with these challenges, because we are almost 30 years of democracy, and we have to deal with these problems if they continue to exist. We should ask ourselves these questions with the aim of finding solutions to include black-owned enterprises in the macro-industrial sector across the value chain. I think it's important that we strengthen what we do, obviously, in the township economy, in the township, etc. But I think it's time that black businesses take their rightful place in the mainstream of the economy. We want to see you there, and we will support you. Program Director, with regard to Black Industrial Program and our industrial policy framework, our collective efforts must therefore focus on two main goals. One, facilitating black industrialists' entry into strategic and targeted industrial sectors and value chains so that they can contribute to growth, investment, exports, and employment. And secondly, providing black industrialists with a variety of pathways and instruments to increase their participation in the national economy. Through Black Industrial Program, the Department of Trade and Competition and the Department of Small Business Development will continue to lead the way in opening up business opportunities to help black businesses grow and take full part in the economy. To that end, we should celebrate in the success of the program, for it has helped create nearly 1,000 black industrialists. But that's not enough. We want to see them do more and more. As a result, They now have, those who have been helped, they have now successful businesses that employ a growing number of our citizens, but we need to see more and more support from DTI and small business development. However, Program Director, as we foster and facilitate the growth of Black businesses, we must equally guard against those who seek and employ violent means towards disrupting our economic sectors. Whilst the outcries and demands for economic inclusion and transformation must be supported, this needs to happen within the framework of the law. The increasing number of reported incidents of intimidation and violent attack on business owners in particularly the construction industry. I think some instances, the chemical and mining industries, transport industries, is of great concern to us. It's not everywhere, but I'm told that we experience this a lot in KZN, Gauteng, the Western Cape, where people just come and demand to be included in other people's businesses. We need to reject that. As government, we strongly discourage this behavior, and offenders must face full force of the law. We also call on you as Black enterprises to condemn and eradicate these forms of thuggery and criminality in our communities. We also reiterate that lack of collaboration with government renders us on a lone path in which government alone cannot create stability or fulfill the National Development Plan or Vision 2030's goal of eradicating poverty. We must therefore work together to expand the scope of Black-owned businesses beyond the convenience of store chains such as spaza shops or vehicle repairs. Our economy has much to offer, but the informal sector is very important. It's dominated by Black business, but we must be able to take advantages of the entire value chain in our national economy. We want to see Black businesses there in the main economy. Importantly, we as government, we encourage you to come up with new ideas for establishing sustainable enterprises that will leave a legacy to future generations. Collectively, we should endeavor to establish businesses that will continue to thrive in the decades to come. Finally, Program Director, we are very grateful for the opportunity to recognize people who are contributing to our country's economic growth and transformation. We wish to heartily congratulate all the nominees on their remarkable achievements. Those who will be recognized as achievers tonight should be inspired to help those less fortunate than themselves tonight. We urge you to use your newly acquired recognition to further our country's economic transformation agenda. Let us continue to acknowledge, encourage, and honor Black excellence. You have our support as government. Let us hold hands, let us work together, because we will succeed. Thank you very much, and all the best to all the achievers and those who are going to get awards this evening. Thank you very much. Aken Sanko.